Hello and welcome. Today, we are diving into an ancient fable. And believe me, we're going to transform it into a super practical tool for making better decisions in your life right now. We'll be looking at strategy, a little healthy skepticism, and that absolutely crucial skill of figuring out when an enemy's offer of peace is the real deal or just a carefully laid trap.
So, let me just start by asking you a question. Picture this. An old rival, maybe a competitor, or even a toxic person from your past, suddenly shows up offering an olive branch. What's your move? Do you trust them? I mean, it's a tough one, right? And that exact dilemma is right at the very heart of the story we're exploring today.
So where does this story come from? We're going way back to ancient Greece, to one of Aesop's classic fables. And the amazing thing about these stories is how they're just completely timeless. Seriously, you can think of them as the original life hacks. These simple little animal stories that teach these really profound lessons in strategy that are just as vital today as they were thousands of years ago.
All right, let's meet our two key players. First up, we have the cock. He represents wise suspicion, emotional control. He's our strategist. And on the other side, we've got the fox, who is basically the poster child for malicious deception and pure, greedy self-interest. It is a classic showdown between sharp intelligence and sneaky cunning.
Okay, let's get right into the story. So, you've got this wise old kaka, and he's perched up high in a tree for the night. You know, his high ground, his safe spot. But just as he's settling in, who does he spot creeping around down below? His number one enemy, Master Fox. And that's where the confrontation begins.
And the fox, man, he does not waste a second. He launches right into his plan, not with a threat, but with an offer that sounds way, way too good to be true. He shouts up with all this fake joy in his voice, announcing some kind of universal peace treaty among all animals. It's a classic move, right? Disarm your opponent with a promise that's just unbelievable.
And here it is. Here's the hook. The fox tries to get the cock to come down from his position of strength, down to the ground where he's totally vulnerable. This invitation to celebrate is just the bait on the trap. So the question is, what does the cock do?
And this is where it gets really good. The cock, he feels that fear. The original story even says he feels a fluttering sensation. He knows this is a dangerous situation. But, and this is the whole key, he doesn't let that fear take the wheel. Instead of freaking out or just blindly accepting, he stays cool, calm, and collected, and he cooks up a clever little test.
And his move is just brilliant. See, he doesn't call the fox a liar. He plays along, but he introduces a new piece to the game. A consequence that hits the fox right where he lives. He knows the one thing a fox fears more than anything else in the world is a dog.
And boom, just like that, the entire lie completely falls apart. The fox's reaction is pure instinct. He doesn't even have time to think. His fundamental nature, his terror of dogs, just steamrolls right over his clever words. And that flimsy excuse he yells as he runs away, that's just the final nail in the coffin, proving the whole peace treaty was a sham from the start.
Okay, so that move the cock pulled, it's so effective that we can actually pull a really powerful strategic model from it. Let's break down what we're going to call the dog principle.
So here it is, plain and simple. The dog principle is all about introducing a consequence, the dogs, to see if what someone's telling you is actually for real. It's a reality check. Because listen, flattering words are cheap, but how someone reacts when faced with a consequence that triggers their deep-seated instinct, well, that's priceless. That reveals the truth every single time.
And this is exactly why it works so perfectly in the story. The fox could say all animals were friends until he was blue in the face, but he couldn't fake his gut-level terror of dogs. The test had nothing to do with his words. It relied entirely on his unchangeable nature. His action, running for his life, spoke way louder than any promise of peace ever could.
Okay, so a talking fox is probably not something you're going to deal with on your commute tomorrow. But this principle? Oh, it is incredibly relevant. Let's take a look at how we can spot the modern fox in our own lives and use the cock's brilliant strategy.
Let's put this into some real-world situations. Let's say you've got that one relative, the fox, who always takes advantage. They ask for a loan, swearing they've changed their ways. The dog you introduce is suggesting a third-party financial advisor manages the money. Their reaction to that simple condition will tell you everything you need to know. Or in business, a competitor makes an offer that's almost too good to be true. You test it by proposing a clause that requires total vulnerable transparency. If they suddenly get cold feet, You know it was a trap.
Of course, the fable also gives us a pretty clear roadmap of what not to do. The biggest trap here is letting flattery cloud your judgment and convince you to give up your safe position. Believing a predator has fundamentally changed, accepting big claims without any proof, or just making a decision based on emotion instead of strategy, these are the mistakes that get you caught.
So this all leads us to a really critical idea, the importance of always maintaining your own strategic high ground. Just like the cock up in that tree, it's about staying in a position of safety and clear-headedness, where you can look at threats and offers for what they really are.
So how do you hold that high ground? Well, think of these 4 steps almost like a personal rule book. Number 1, always stay vigilant. 2, test what people are telling you before you make a move. 3, always choose strategy over pure emotional reaction. And 4, trust your gut, especially when you're dealing with someone who has a history of being a predator.
And here's maybe the most powerful takeaway of all. The cock didn't have to fight the fox. He didn't need to use brute force. His victory came from pure intelligence, a single, perfectly timed, clever countermove that exposed the truth without him ever having to risk a thing.
So, what's the bottom line? Let that image of the running fox be a constant reminder for you. Promises are cheap, but instinct, both yours and your adversary's, is pure gold. Learn to use it and you'll always find the truth hiding behind the words.